Ladies and gentlemen, very happy to bring on the show, host of the Pushback Show on the Gray Zone News and writer for the Gray Zone, and puppet of Putin. Ladies and gentlemen, let's bring to the show Aaron Matei. Aaron, great to have you on the show, my friend.
Hey, Graham. Thanks for having me.
Well, I wanted to have you on the show. First of all, I wanted to get your celebrity camel toe takes since the fine journalism they've done over there at TYT. I don't want to spend too much time on that because they've been shooting themselves in the foot enough over there. And I think Glenn Greenwald did a excellent breakdown of what they're saying is not just some sort of like drama, but like really, really, really dangerous and divisive with regard to that. So, it's just so insane. We live in a crazy world, and everyone, you've just been smeared as you're just called the Russian puppet, and everybody that just is glossed over, which is it's so crazy dangerous. But
well, look, let me say, I have to admit that for me, this dumb experience with him has been, me personally, has been a net positive, because although, it's not nice to be slandered, it did bring attention to a really important story that I've been covering for 2 years, and that the media and even people on the progressive left have done a lot of work to ignore, which is the OPCW whistleblower story. This cover-up at the OPCW of an investigation that found no evidence of a chemical weapons attack. And the whistleblowers who challenged that have been heroic in trying to bring their suppressed findings to light, to show that the OPCW has been used as a tool for U.S. warfare on Syria, and that, one of these key allegations used to justify warfare on Syria and sanctions on Syria was a lie. So I've been on this story for 2 years, and it's been amazing to see just how hard my media colleagues, with some brave exceptions, have worked to ignore this story. And what the Young Turks, aka the middle-aged McCarthyites, did by slandering me is bring attention to this story. So I'm actually grateful for that, because anything that can bring some attention on this story and on the brave whistleblowers is a good thing. And so I'm actually grateful for that, to be honest with you. But and also with me, when they said that about me, everyone can see what a joke that is. Like, these people look like, if you watch that clip of them attacking me, look at their tone, their behavior, they look like clowns, and no one takes them seriously, right? And what they're saying about me, no one takes seriously. I'm paid by Russia, blah, 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 right? But then look what they did to Jimmy Dore. Jimmy, who's a good friend of mine, who's been one of my few allies throughout, the last 4 years of Russiagate mania, where every other, a major prominent outlet was going along with the Russiagate madness, and Jimmy Dore was debunking it. And Jimmy Dore was pushing back on all these allegations about Syria too, and basically, just actually being genuinely adversarial when it comes to reporting on the biggest stories of our time, as opposed to so many other, even self-described adversarial journalists going along with the establishment line. So when Jimmy came to my defense, what happened to Jimmy? He was slandered with this bullshit Me Too allegation by Anna Kasparian and Cenk. And that is a lot more cynical than what they did to me, because with me, everyone can see what a joke that is. I'm paid by Russia. But when you're dealing with something that involves Me Too, it's a lot more sensitive. It's a lot harder to question that, because of, the cultural norm that's been established around Me Too and the sensitivity of an issue like that, So what they did to Jimmy was, I think, a lot more awful than what they did to me. And thankfully, again, because people don't take Cenk and Anna seriously, this thing did not catch on. They tried to Me Too Jimmy, but it failed miserably. And I'm thankful for that. But that doesn't take away from just how cynical it was, and how they deserve to be called out for it just as much as they deserve to be called out for what they did to me.
Yeah, and it's those are two very valid points, because the sort of, and even like Kyle Klinsky, the drama makes it sound like they were having a disagreement over policy, and then they started name calling. That's what that term, and that's not, this is way bigger than that. Like you said, calling you.
There's nothing to do with drama.
Yeah,
anybody who called this drama as a way to dismiss it is being a coward. It means that they're not willing to take a position on what actually happened. They slandered me, and then they slandered Jimmy. And if you want to belittle that and dismiss that as drama, then you're basically taking the side of the slanderers, because you're saying that, us defending ourselves against slander for the crime of committing anti-establishment journalism. That's what I was doing with Syria. That's what Jimmy was supporting me on. And same with Russiagate too. To then reduce all that to this petty dispute it's juvenile. And I was surprised to see people like Kyle go along with that, because it's not drama at all. And there's no nuance in terms of this whole thing with, Jimmy making a joke, nice new skirt 7 years ago, a joke that he apologized for. And then Kyle was initially trying to portray that as if there was like two sides to that. I mean, Jimmy apologized for that joke when it happened. So to try to claim now as if it's a possible case of sexual harassment, it's just a joke, and it actually totally cheapens, actual sexual harassment issues and actual Me Too issues. And I was sorry to see people either fall for that or try to dismiss our efforts to defend ourselves from that as drama. It was disappointing, but it's a window into, when you actually take adversarial stances on issues where there are career consequences. And though, Syria is a touchy subject. In 20 years, 30 years, we'll be able to talk about Syria, no problem, But right now, because of the level of propaganda that we've gotten around it, it's not safe yet, career-wise, to speak the truth about it. So those of us who are willing to speak the truth about it, we're going to be subjected to malicious personal attacks because, again, people can't actually challenge us on the actual facts. They don't want to talk about the facts. Just like people don't want to talk about this OPCW whistleblower story, because when you do that, you have to look at the facts of the story. And the facts here are just so overwhelming that, the inspectors who went to Syria for the OPCW found no evidence of a chemical attack, and B, that there was a cover-up of that finding. So people who can't engage on the facts have to engage in name calling. And, other people see that, and instead of standing up to it, they get intimidated. They fear maybe being called names themselves. There's like a certain flack effect. You don't want to be associated with people who are called names because that might hurt your brand. Maybe you'll lose, I don't know, subscribers or something, or you'll lose a job opportunity in the future. So it's easy to throw people like Jimmy Dore under the bus. But, that's not what I'm about. And that's why it's important to stand up to it. And, people have written to me asking me to stop talking about it. But as long as Jimmy is being attacked for defending me and for defending genuine anti-establishment journalism, why should we stop talking about it? We should defend ourselves against it and call out those who are perpetrating it and who are trying to pretend that it's not a big deal.
Yeah. I mean, Kyle's reaction really shows you how dangerous the weaponizing Me Too really is, because he's like, him and Crystal clearly had, I don't know for certain, but just based on their texts and everything, when they didn't want to have Jimmy on their show, they clearly were like, we don't want to get tangled in some Me Too thing. So that's how powerful and dangerous the Me Too thing. And Glenn Greenwald made this point in several other instances with other people and politicians of how dangerous it is, because then there's no investigation. There's no proof. There's just, you got me. You're Me Too'd. I mean, I saw this happen in the comedy world to, Chris Hardwick, who, look, Louis C.K. is a piece of shit, and he got called out, and rightfully so. And other comics got called out for being pieces of shit. And I know female comics, they get treated way worse, and that's awful. And in my world, the comedy world, they should be treated fairly. Nobody's grabbing my ass at a comedy show. That happens to female comics. Okay, great. But then an ex just wrote some letter about Chris Hardwick, and he potentially was going to get fired from TV shows and had to get, investigated. And everyone just online Chris Hardwick's another Me Too guy. And just, that's how quickly that fire can spread. And it needs to be investigated on a case by case basis. And so for Kyle to do that, and Crystal, they just seem like weak opportunists to me that don't.
It was really lame. Kyle said that because Jimmy said that Anna dressed inappropriately, that he wanted, that if that was like his sister or something, he would have wanted to beat Jimmy up. Like, Really? Because he said the word inappropriate? Like, you know, you can object to the joke, but it's like, I just felt as if there was this like, I don't know, for whatever reason, whether it's personal friendships or people perceive the Young Turks as having some cachet. I don't know, but there was this like, to me, it all comes back to the power dynamic. Someone like Jimmy or I don't offer people very much in terms of career incentives. You know, if you defend us, you're not going to advance at all. You know what I mean? But so the reason to defend us is if you actually maybe have some principles, not because we offer you anything. But I just think because we don't offer people very much power-wise, there was just easier to try to find some nuance or like both sides in this thing, when really it was just a joke. It was a cynical weaponization of Me Too when the facts are totally agreed on, where Jimmy said, you know, nice new skirt 7 years ago and apologized for it at the time. And actually,
then she invited him to his wedding. I mean, like,
she invited his wedding, and she was his boss, and there was never an issue. And by the way, also, you know what's funny? When I say the facts are agreed on, that's actually not true, because if you look at the way Cenk and Anna now tell the story, now they tell different stories. Cenk says that Jimmy says nice new skirt, and then he looked up her skirt. Anna doesn't say that he looked up her skirt, and Anna says that Jimmy said nice legs. So actually, their stories don't even match because they're such bad liars. And that makes sense because this whole thing started with them lying about me. So of course they're going to continue to double down on lies, and of course they're going to get caught lying more and more. As you know, they also got caught. Cenk was saying that Jimmy was Cenk called Jimmy a liar, right? And his only example for that was that he said that Jimmy said that Cenk wanted to bomb Syria, and Cenk was like, "That's a preposterous lie." Well, there's video of Cenk wanting to calling for bombing Syria. So again, these people are just like, they're shameless liars and they're bad liars. They don't even remember that there's evidence out there undermining their lives, because that's what narcissists do. They just lie reflexively and don't think about the consequences. And it wouldn't matter if it was just them, because that's just their problem, whatever. But the fact that it gets kind of this pass in media, and that people even try to find ways to like blame both sides. Like Kyle had this percentage, like he's like, I'm 15% with the Young Turks and 85% with Jimmy. Like, no, man, like, sorry, like there's no, yeah.
The biggest mistake Jimmy made was assuming that Cenk, Anna, and Kyle were his actual friends. I mean, I've known Jimmy for 25 years. I met him in Chicago doing comedy, and when I called him last week, I was like, "What the fuck?" And we had this long conversation about it, man. And he was like, "Yeah," and I was like, "Kyle's a weasel. He's a worm." And he goes, "Yeah, I thought these people were my friends." I go, "Because this is the other thing too. Like, this is just fucking friendship. If I had a problem with Jimmy Dore, I'm going to call my friend Jimmy Dore up. I'm not going to send him some bullshit text 2.5 hours later. I'm going to go, "Hey, Jimmy, what the fuck's going on?" Like, that's how I would deal with my friend Jimmy Dore, is I would call him up and go, "Dude, what?" And we would iron it out. Kyle, clearly, I mean, half of Kyle's videos, it sounds like he's just trying to be on MSNBC anyway. He's just like, you know,
look, I don't want to say that because I don't watch enough of his stuff to say that. And for what I've seen of Kyle, I think I've agreed with generally, you know, so I don't know. I don't want to make, I don't know. I mean, like, maybe, you know, I have no idea, but what I know is that me and Jimmy Dore don't offer people anything career-wise. What we offer people is the work we do. And the question is, are we factual or not? Are we on the right side or not? I think we are. And I think that we've been repeatedly vindicated by, you know, how things have gone, especially with Russiagate. But the thing is, unfortunately, in media, that doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. That's not the only thing. It's not just whether you're factual, whether you're on the side of justice, whether you're doing it for the right reasons. What also matters is whether you offer people something career-wise. And there's nothing to be gained career-wise from defending me or Jimmy Dore, especially when something like Syria is involved.
Well, yes, I agree with you up to a point, but then part of the thing too is Jimmy has offered people, because look, man, I've known Jimmy for a long time, and I came on his show right after the 2016 election. He had 150,000 subscribers, and that's when he's like, "Graham, you should start doing a show." He encouraged me to do it because I lost my house and all this stuff. And now he's got 900,000 subscribers. So look,
more than that, if YouTube wasn't suppressing.
Oh, good. Yeah, of course. He would have 1.5 million, and I would have probably 200,000 subscribers instead of the 78,000 that they're holding me at since I've been demonetized for 6 months. And so, look, the thing that pisses me off is he's helped a lot. I mean, he didn't make Kyle Kulinski. Kyle's done his own show, and yeah, whatever. But he's helped. Kyle coming on Jimmy's show absolutely helps. Jimmy Dore being the number one reason, aggressive progressives was like the number one reason people were buying TYT subscriptions. That's why they kept Jimmy Dore around.
You're right.
And I mean, he's had AOC on his show. He's helped people. He's elevated people. And he's just about the truth, whether you agree with him or not. He's about the truth. And then these people, because I see this in show business, they're just fucking trade ups, man. They're like, I'm gonna ride Jimmy's. And then when it's convenient to bail on him, or it's you know what? Gee, if I don't 100% go on Jimmy's side, then I keep my toe in the TYT waters. Maybe they'll hire. Maybe I'll. Because look, man. Isn't Kalinske under TYT's banner? I mean, like,
I don't even know about that. I mean, I heard people say that, but I don't know. Look, you know what? I didn't phrase my point properly. You're right. Jimmy does offer people a lot. You know, he's helped me out a lot too. You know, back during Russiagate, when it was considered like an act of heresy to question the dumbest conspiracy theory of all time, Jimmy put me on, and without him, I wouldn't have reached like an audience. I was at the Real News, and that was like a relatively small outlet, but Jimmy had a much bigger audience. And so with Jimmy and I doing segments together, every time there was a big Russiagate thing, we would debunk it together. And through that, you know, we reached a lot of people. So I owe Jimmy a lot. I guess what I meant to say is, if you're looking to advance in the, you know, narrow confines of like the more establishment lefty media world, then people like Jimmy Dore and I are not going to offer you very much. That's what I meant. You know, not that we don't offer anything, of course, but I mean, from a cynical power calculation. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, absolutely. I hear what you're saying. This is the thing. Like, yeah, he had AOC on his show and nobody knew who she was.
Yeah,
like,
sure. Yeah,
he
questioned the narrative around the Syria chemical attacks long before I came along. I came along, you know, because he had the freedom to do that. He had the freedom to do that, working outside of the official kind of journalistic media space, because on some issues there are just such deep red lines that you don't even think about it, but you know that if you question it, you're going to get attacked and smeared, and so you just decide it's not worth it. But because Jimmy doesn't exist in that world, he has the freedom to just follow the facts. And in the case of Syria and the OPC and these alleged chemical attacks, it's paid off because he's been vindicated. And I'll say too, you know, there are journalists who he's elevated who have also been complaining about, you know, this whole thing and dismissing it as drama. And that's also disappointing, is because Jimmy also elevated their stories and their voices when no one else is paying attention to them. It's amazing how easy it is to throw someone under the bus. It's really, really, really amazing. And it goes, you know, to comedy. I know it's there in journalism too.
Yeah, it's nuts. I mean, and the whole, and then we're going to move on to the specifics of what's going on in Syria. But like the whole nice news skirt, you know, Jim, I would be on aggressive progressives all the time. And if I showed up in like tight leather rock and roll pants, like some hipster on Melrose Avenue, and an open collared shirt like this, and I bent over and everyone saw my crack, and Jimmy said, "Nice news pants, Graham," I wouldn't then 7 years later go, "Jimmy sexually harassed me." And I'm tired of it.
Look, you know, I worked at Democracy Now! For over 10 years, and I would never, ever comment on anyone else's appearance, you know, or like style of dress, like especially a woman's, because that's the culture at Democracy Now!, you know, and that's, but at the Young Turks, where like contemporaneously, Cenk and Anna were trying to become the Howard Stern show. They're doing segments about Spot the Camel Toe. They're talking about Britney Spears's genitals and posting pictures of her vagina online. I mean, it's a completely different culture. So to try to for Cenk and Anna to try to pretend now as if they, you know, oppose misogyny and and as if they're like, as if Cenk is an ally, Cenk a guy who, like, you know, the organization he founded had to renounce him. Bernie Sanders had to renounce his endorsement because of all the bigoted, misogynistic things that Cenk has said. For them to try to pose as like, you know, Me Too champions is just, it makes it all the more of a joke, given their own expressed views and just shitty juvenile segments that they used to do.
Yeah. Not to mention, and he wants to jerk off a horse or whatever, that legislation, like that. That's solid journalism that he wants to do. No. Not to mention, and a Kasparian, an Armenian, working at a place called the Young Turks, which is like a Jewish person working at like the Gestapo network. He used to denounce the Armenian genocide and then gave some sort of milquetoast. Oh, I guess I've changed. Like, shut, man, their whole thing is opportunism. Look, if they thought they're going to get clicks off of this, they thought they're going to win off of this. They thought they're just going to chase the clicks wherever they go. They got the $20 million that said move to the center, and that's what they've been doing. And Jimmy's called them out, and you've called them out, and they can't handle it. And like any good neoliberal, they always go into ridiculous smears. Like, you're paid by the Russians. Where's their evidence? Show me their evidence. Oh, they don't have it because they're too busy jumping from that ridiculous claim to a Me Too claim or whatever. They have no evidence on any of this. And it's dangerous what they're doing when you have 5.1 million subscribers and you claim to be the sort of, the lefty indie media place. You're actually doing dangerous stuff, and they're fracturing the left. That's what.
Yeah. And also, you know what? Like, imagine if someone else comes along who does an important story, challenging the establishment narrative on Syria or any other target of U.S. hegemony, right? What's to stop people like the middle-aged McCarthyites from smearing them next time that they're paid by Russia? So it's not just about Jimmy and I. It's also about just stopping this kind of repulsive behavior. Because look, it's for Jimmy and I, like we have an audience, both of us, so we can defend ourselves and people can support us. But people with less resources, less of an audience, might be more vulnerable to an attack like that. So to prevent that playbook from being entrenched, we got to call it out. And I'm happy we did. And on the plus side, I think they've been sufficiently embarrassed. I mean, they haven't they haven't apologized, but that's not for a lack of outrage from, I think, their audience and from people in general. I mean, they look pretty ridiculous. They haven't apologized because they're just stubborn and their brains don't work that way. But I'm glad we've called it out. And as long as they continue, we'll keep responding.
Their audience, their own audience has turned on them. I mean, the comment section, the dislikes, you see that in YouTube. That happened to Kyle as well. Those 2 videos he did, his own audience ratioed him, and his own audience wrote very articulate things in the comment section, like, dude, you're wrong. Here's why. So that's good. That's good to see some like people. Well, that's the thing about this like indie media lefty space is the people, if you're going to watch this show or Jimmy's show or Kyle or whatever, you're here because you're being fed bullshit at the corporate media. So when someone who's purporting to be like being honest with you is bullshitting you, it's really obvious, and your audience will do that. So like, it's one thing. I've had my audience disagree with me about stuff, and hey, that's fine. I'm not certain things I'm not changing my opinion on. That's fine. But if I get something wrong and then I try to bullshit my audience, I absolutely deserve to have them fucking dislike my videos. Hey, everybody, it's Graham Elwood. We are going on the road, Ron Placone and I, in September and October. Check grahamelwood.com for tour dates, probably coming to a city near you. A lot of these shows have sold out in the past. We haven't been on the road in a year and a half because of the pandemic. Come out and join us. The post-pandemic comedy tour. Go to grahamelwood.com for tickets. New cities being announced every day. Join us and support what we do at patreon.com/Graham Elwood and rockfin.com/Graham Elwood. Blockchain cryptocurrency platform. Thank you. You're making Gotham great again. Boom.